and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the bell icon to be notified every single time that I post. Today we're going to be doing another university tips video. So you may have seen me recently post on TikTok about the university tips. I like to do that around this time of year because basically like a lot of people are searching for university stuff, so they do quite well, so I like to do them and I like to kind of offer my wisdom to people. But I also like to do lots of mental health videos, so I thought why not combine the two and make a university and mental health video all in one. University can be a very, very difficult time for your mental health, whether or not you have a mental illness or not. I think a lot of people, when they hear mental health, they just think of people who have anxiety, depression, that sort of thing. But everybody has mental health, everyone has physical health, everyone has it. So your mental health can be impacted even if you don't have a mental illness. So basically this kind of video is for everyone. Also, I just want to start this video off by saying that every university is different, so some universities will have certain things, others won't. It just kind of varies on the university. The best place to get information is like on the university's website itself and the Students' Union website and like social media pages, because that's where you can find like the best information for your university. First up, let's just talk about homesickness. I think this is one of the biggest thing that kind of can impact your mental health, especially in you first get to uni. I cried. You know, my parents were leaving, I cried because it's a sad time, you know, it's your first time away from home, it can feel difficult. You're away from all your friends, you're away from your family. But make sure you keep in contact with them. It's so easy when you're like getting in, like involved in the university life, like everything's so busy and hectic, to like lose contact with friends back home or not like contact your family as much. Contact them, you know, send them pictures, especially your family. Your family will love to hear updates about your day and, you know, for you to send them pictures of what you're doing because they'll be missing you as well. If you feel homesick within the first like couple of weeks at university, I recommend not going home unless you like absolutely have to, you know. Obviously there's certain exceptions and stuff, but I recommend not going home during the first few weeks, simply because it will make your homesickness worse. If you go home during those first weeks, you know, you're missing out on valuable time bonding with your flatmates, you know, getting used to the university life, and it just makes it all that harder when then you go back to university. So I would recommend making sure to kind of like stick it out and just kind of stay at university. Make sure you FaceTime your family and stuff, but make sure that you are like, you know, going out there and trying to like bond with people. It is completely normal to be homesick. Like probably all of your new flatmates will be homesick as well. I know it can feel like you're the only one that's like not enjoying it during the first few weeks, but honestly everyone's homesick. So you can bond over that, you know, bonding with your flatmates is a really, like bonding with your flatmates by crying together about being homesick is a good way to bond. Don't be ashamed about being homesick, you know, it's nothing to be embarrassed about or anything. Be honest in these videos, but basically I just want to say that university can be very, very lonely and isolating. The other week on my Instagram I was like, what are things you wish people knew about going to university before you go? And some of them were about people feeling lonely, and I just want to say there's so many ways to make friends, but sometimes you do have to put yourself out there, and it's quite a difficult thing to say, but I want to be honest, so I'm going to be honest with you all. Not everyone bonds with your flatmates, like not everyone bonds with them, and that's okay. You know, you're a group of what, 7 people thrown together, you may have nothing in common, you may not do the same course, you might just not bond, and that's completely okay because there are other ways to make friends. Making friends at university is quite different than making friends at school, because at school you're all like thrown into a classroom together for what, 7 hours a day, and you know, you're kind of forced to make friends with people even if you don't have that much in common with them. But at university it is quite different because you've just got all this independence, so sometimes you just kind of have to put yourself out there only a little bit to, you know, find people who are kind of like you. One of the best ways to make friends is through societies. I honestly wish I joined more societies because there is pretty much a society for everyone. There are sports societies, there is all sorts of sports, like it's not just like football and netball, there's like more. And then there's other societies like student media, you know, there's radio ones, news ones, like there's so many. There's also like more fun ones like Doctor Who, Harry Potter, Taylor Swift. Like obviously it depends on your university. Your university might not have these like specific ones. There's also politics ones, you know, if you belong to a political party, like a particular one, or you're just interested in that politics, you can join that. Or there's like a general politics one, there's debating ones. There are so many societies you can join, and it's really great to join societies because they are a group of like-minded individuals. So they're a group of people who are kind of like interested in the same things as you, and you can just kind of bond over that. Just to be aware, sometimes there can be a small fee. It kind of varies from like £5 to £10 for most, but with like the sports ones and the more like Extreme ones, like, they're gonna be more expensive. Other ones will charge like weekly for like sessions, but really it just depends on the kind of society you want, but usually they're not that expensive. You may also panic if you're not bonding with your flat, but I found it that sometimes you just get a bit shy with each other. Sometimes it can feel a bit awkward. So one of the best ways to bond with your flat is by baking something. That's what my flatmate did. They baked something and then we all just kind of sat around and bonded over that. But there's also other ways to, you know, kind of make friends with your flatmates, like go out for a meal together, cook a meal together in your flat, just arrange to have tea. You know, you could all have your separate like dinners, teas, whatever, and just sit together. Another really great one is board games. Board games are an absolutely fantastic way to bond. I love a Cards Against Humanities, but obviously that's not for everyone. There's also, I really liked Exploding Kittens. That was a game that I found hilarious, but that's only for like 4 players maybe. I can't remember how many players it was, but that one's a really fun one as well. But things like that, card games, at my university in the freshers pack they gave you a free pack of cards. Cards are like only £1 if you don't get a free one. Like, card games are really fun. You can teach each other ones. If your flat likes to drink, if you know people in your flat like to drink and that's your kind of thing, there's also like Ring of Fire, that sort of thing. Stuff like that can just like help you bond, and then, you know, you can be friends. Like, I think you kind of, I don't know, I think sometimes it can take a while to bond with your flatmates, so bear that in mind as well, that you may bond with them later on and you may thought you had nothing in common with them, and then you find out like during a game of Ring of Fire, Truth or Dare, something that, oh, we are actually quite common, you know, like have something in common. University can be very busy, especially during exam weeks and that sort of thing. So what you're going to want to do is make sure you're eating enough, because if you're not eating enough, you're not fueling your brain, blah blah blah, you know the drill. Basically, make sure you're just eating enough. Like, if you find it difficult to prepare meals, one of the like best ways that I found anyway is to have like microwave meals like on standby. Basically, you can have ones in the fridge if you're gonna have them like short term, in the freezer, and like microwave rice, pot noodles, things like that. Don't have them all the time unless you want to, I don't judge, but like have them there. So say if you're like struggling, you're really busy, anything like that, you then have a meal that you can cook really easily, and making sure that you're fully fueling your body, because that is very important, especially at university, because you need it for your brain, and you also need it if you're drinking, because if you're drinking you need food. You do. So if you are actually like struggling with your mental health, you are struggling a lot, and you think, actually, you know, I do need to speak to someone, there are so many welfare things at university. University is full of students, full of young people, young adults, they suffer with mental health issues, so there are like so many things out there. It depends on your university, but there is a lot of like welfare people. You can go to the students' union, you can like, there will be a lot of places you can find help. Like, literally just search your university and search welfare and there will be things that come up. If you go to Lancaster University, I've actually done a full video on this. But yeah, basically you can get in contact with people, and usually if you go through the university it will have a shorter waiting time than the NHS. You may only have limited sessions, but it's good sometimes to just speak to people. If you want to go through the NHS, you can also do that. I recommend registering with your GP at the university, just because it makes it easier if you have any medical issues while you're there. And I also find that the GPs in like a university place are better to deal with mental health. So when I was registered like at Lancaster, they had a Lancaster like GP like on campus, and I found that they were some of like the best GPs I've ever seen about my mental health, so that's something to kind of be aware of as well. It can be very easy to kind of sit by yourself in your room, especially when you're kind of struggling with your mental health, but a tip I have is basically sit in the kitchen, you know, do your work in the kitchen, go to the library, surround yourself with other people. Even when you're just near other people, like in the library, even if you don't know them, it's just, it makes you feel a little bit less lonely than being in your room all the time. Like, if you just cramped up in your room like all day long, it's just a lot to deal with, you know. Like, the thing that I really like to do and that I found help with my mental health is actually going on walks. You can do this with your flatmates, with your friends, or you can just do it alone, put a good playlist on. I lived at Lancaster, which is the campus university, so it was like a really great like place to walk around. Other places, you know, you can go into town and just walk about. There are so many things you can explore there. It's quite fun just to kind of like explore a new city, have a look around, and just kind of get to know things. I think doing a walk at least once a day is really nice, just because you kind of get outside, breathe a bit of fresh air, and kind of just, it's nice. When it is like coursework season and deadline season, exam season, that sort of thing, you may need an extension at certain points with your mental health. I found it's a lot easier to get an extension when you're in contact with the university's like welfare team themselves, because they can very easily just kind of like email your department head and be like, this is what's going on, and then you can get like a short extension. Extensions aren't the answer to all your problems. I really only use them when I kind of needed to. Don't feel ashamed, you know, if you can get extensions, get them, there's no harm. But I find a lot of the times that if you do get extensions, then basically you just put yourself in the exact same position, you put it off until the last minute again. But extensions can be really, really good when you need them. I've had them where they've been absolutely fantastic that I've not had the time simply to do because of what's going on in my personal life and stuff. I've not had the time to do my essay, and then you can get an extension. It just gives you that bit of extra breathing room, and it's, you know, it's a nice relaxing thing. If you want to get in contact with your university's welfare team, I recommend doing it like at the start of term, in the middle of term. If you kind of try to do it like during deadline season, you may not be able to see anyone like straight away. Just depends on your university and how busy it is, but obviously because a lot of people struggle with their mental health that time because it's quite like an overwhelming time, it may be like more difficult to see them. And then say if you need an extension, you need a letter from the welfare team, you might not be able to get it in time. So I recommend trying to do it earlier on, just because it makes it a little bit easier later on in the term. Basic exam advice, you know, I'm sure you've like all kind of done like exams before, or like kind of like marked work, that sort of thing, like coursework. Just make sure you take like time for yourself. Don't just like keep trying and trying, just not getting any breaks, because your work isn't going to be as good if you don't have any breaks. Make sure you're giving yourself breaks. Don't do all-nighters. It's easier said than done, but don't do all-nighters for essays, because you just kind of get out in a really bad sleeping pattern, and that is not good. So yes, just be very, very wary. It can be easy to leave stuff till last minute and do all-nighters. Trust me, I've done it, but it's not the one. So don't do that. In my personal opinion, obviously, you know, sometimes you end up in the situation you do them, it's not the end of the world, but if you give yourself more time, like get started on the coursework. I did a politics degree, so like we got our course, like the questions for our coursework earlier on. Get it done as soon as possible, basically. It just makes life so much easier, especially because you usually have like what, 4 deadlines in 1 week, which can be very, very difficult, especially if you're doing all-nighters for them. So try and get your coursework done as early as possible. It just makes it a little bit less stressful. I can't personally talk, I was very much a last minute girly, but one essay I actually started really, really early, and that was the essay I did the best on, so do with that what you will. These are just some of my like mental health tips for university. Hope these helps. Let me know if you have any mental health tips in the comments. Always good to share them with people, because university can be a really, really stressful time, and it can be a really, really difficult time for your mental health. Make sure you're taking time to yourself. Make sure, you know, you're looking after yourself. It's very, very important. And yeah, make sure you like and subscribe to see more videos. And thanks for watching.